everyone! This week we're going to do a shorter video just about the steps to do those drip tulips, but we're going to focus on the larger one that I've clipped to that board right there. That way you get a clearer view of the steps to make just one of those little guys, and I'm going to cut out what I did with the experiments of the two smaller ones of the 6x9 pages right there. So yes, this is also sped up a little bit, but you get to see those steps. And it's a shorter video, so you get more of the nutshell version of it without it being too horribly fast. I also have a lot of things going on this week, and it's just time to do a shorter one while I can still film a larger one for later. It's the editing. I love to edit videos, I just don't have all the time for it right now. This technique was inspired by Burridge on BobBlast. He's still doing wonderful videos that I recommend you checking out. Really fun stuff and amazing, just a fun personality that he's got going on right there. So I'm explaining how I've taped all this stuff down and I've clipped it, and I believe we're getting on real fast to dripping on these big tulips right here. I've prepared Quinaquadone Magenta, which is a wonderful fuchsia pink. It's a nice bright magenta color, and I'm making it really watery, so I've left plenty of the drip cam in here. It makes a gorgeous orange on the background. I still paint a lot of my canvases just with Quinaquadone Magenta as a background, since I do a lot of landscapes, and especially here in Michigan, landscapes are green in the season you actually want to go outside. Lots of dripping, soon a drying it down, and this is the part where I use that big mop brush to put big drips of pink all over there. I'm being a little random about this. I am keeping the tulips to the top of the page, as you can see, but I'm not really focusing on a very tulipy shape. Tulips are such a simple shape as it is that it's hard to mess them up, honestly, when you're doing something like this, when you're going to be eliminating part of the mess all the way around it anyway. So I've been having fun with all these colors. I did make it more of an analogous color scheme right here, where you've got the red, purple, and orange, and then you've got some of that yellow in the background. So red, purple, and orange are next to each other on the color wheel. And I'll bring some of those opposites still, to like the green, the really juicy blue greens on the back, and you'll see that drip. But this way, when you see me doing it, it's more of a flow of steps rather than interrupting all the time to be doing the other little ones that I studied or experimented on to do the big ones. Oh, that's a beautiful tip. Could have slowed that one down, huh? Dripping, it's beautiful. I played with this technique probably almost an entire day Saturday once. Oddly enough, it feels frustrating at first because you can actually lose your way with this drip. Is it possible to do too many drips? Yeah, you probably can. You can make opaque drips to go on top. It doesn't feel the same, and yeah, scratch it and start over. That's half the point of this thing. But being able to actually lose your way when you're playing with this, it feels scary at first. It really does, and that's such an important place to get to, because if you aren't actually getting to a place where you're not certain about where you're going, honestly, you're not going to push yourself. You're not going to push yourself to do better art or to try new things or just reach that edge of the creativity that you're at. So it was kind of relieving to get to a place where I didn't know what I was going to do with it. Like, can I salvage this? And that was really good for me. I'm not saying I don't get there a lot. I get there plenty of times, and then I just give up. So I'll probably be working on a lot of old canvases soon, and some of them are so old that I've learned so much since then. I just didn't get rid of them, and I need to, because I'm running out of space with all the other things I have going on this year. I need to weed out some of that stuff and not waste those little canvases in the backgrounds. There's good ideas there, and I have a better practice for using them and making that idea come to fruition. Oh, more drip cams. They're layering. Layering is so important with this one. Even looking at this one right now, I could see different ways I would have gone with it than I did, and that's okay too. That's why this particular method is so simple. You can do it multiple times and do very, very similar ones that have very different outcomes. So please enjoy this tulip drip technique. The spray bottle is very important in my acrylic painting anyway. Even though this is on a gessoed watercolor paper, it will still help it drip down. And the toothbrush, maybe I've been overusing the toothbrush these days. You can also use it to paint with, not just splattering. It works a little bit like a bristle brush in that respect. And I've got so many different things I want to go play with. As I'm recording this, I'm thinking, there's so many texture making tools I want to go mess with right now. But first things first. This is actually a very short video for you, so you can get the nutshell version of how these are made. Of course, going to Bob Burridge's BobBlast channel, he also has shorter ones where he shows how to do really big trees, and I believe he focuses more on trees than other things for this particular technique. You could probably think of a gazillion ways to use this technique. You really could. It's about making a mess and then removing what is not the subject you want, honestly. You could go so many ways. I think it was Michelangelo that was asked how he carves. Oh, I'm messing this one up. It's not Michelangelo. This is like playing telephone with quotes throughout the years of how do you carve an elephant? You take away everything that's not an elephant. And this is similar technique right here. I believe that's called subtractive painting, especially when you wipe away already wet paint to make the subject rather than putting paint on to create the subject. So it's not strictly subtractive painting what we're doing here, because we are putting more paint on rather than wiping it off. But we are more focused, that is my watch, we are more focused in the negative shape once you're blocking in that background back there. Oh, this one's fun. Whee, dripping. That was fun. I like the fact that I'm going backwards with more drips. I probably would have left a lot more of that color in, honestly. But it does get a little chaotic, and it's fun. Here I am going back with the mop brush and sucking up water where I don't want the leaves or any of the color to be quite as strong. So I've wiped off that brush pretty darn good for that to come back up. And I'm talking about something with my hands for the last one. I don't normally use a palette like that because the paint we use at this point is so watery. We probably need to, but I usually use a flat plate or my gray glass palette so I can be aware of my values, and I love using neutral grays for that purpose. Even when I use a background for my website, I actually use neutral gray for that currently, or tried to do something like that so it pops out and you can judge a little better the values you're going to get at the end. So that gray glass palette, it's a fun tool, that little color isolating tool that I've shown you everywhere else. Alright, I think we're about ready to get this thing to dry with those drips. Very, very watery paint going on. Let that dry, and then we're going to wipe away the stuff that's not a tulip. I say wipe away, and I mean paint over the things that are not a tulip. One of Bob Burridge's biggest tips that he has when you're blocking in that background to really isolate your subject is to have one part in your painting in the background, so that would be that light blue in the background, would be lighter than the rest of it. This creates a variation in the background that also looks like backlighting, or maybe a spot where the sun's coming through. It really helps to create a focal point in something that's this abstract, and helps create variation and depth in a painting where you're blocking everything in. Unfortunately, you don't see all of that blocking in right here, and it is very subjective to individual artists on how you do this. That is the part where your brain's going to hurt a little bit. It's great exercise to figure out what you're going to block in. That's something I can't really tell you sometimes. If for an art class, sometimes I can show, hey, this looks like a stem to me. But again, this is where it's your personality showing through. And like I said before, in the other video and here, I didn't realize my camera had stopped rolling, or I didn't press the button hard enough. Seriously, that's all it was, that I didn't get that little guy, the first blocking in of the background right there. So oh well, it's faster, and honestly, it's just more of the same that's going on right here, and you'll see me go a little bit back and forth. There's nothing in the rules saying you can't put more drip tulips on top of this, or enhance the ones you have, or even just render what you'd like on top of those, so there's no problem with that. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed watching these more tulips happen right here. It's been really fun to create shorter videos, so you've got all different lengths, really quick recaps of the whole project, and then hour-long if you want a step-by-step tutorial that's almost real time that you can paint along with, and other craft classes like that. Lots more ideas coming up. Thank you so much for watching. You know the drill. You know exactly what helps those YouTubers right now and the small businesses, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So thank you all.